I still think about the stranger I met that night. Not because something dramatic happened, not because anyone was hurt, not because my life changed immediately afterward. I think about him because of how ordinary the moment felt, and how unsettling it became afterward. It was late, but not late enough to feel dangerous. The kind of late where the city is quieter, but still awake. I had stopped at a small place I'd never been to before. One of those places you don't plan to visit, but end up in because it's open, nearby, and you don't feel like going home yet. The lights inside were warm and low. There were only a few empty tables and one person behind the counter, half focused on something playing quietly in the background. I sat down alone, not really thinking about anything, just passing time. That's when he sat across from me. He didn't ask if the seat was taken. He didn't hesitate. He just sat down, calmly, like it was the most natural thing in the world. At first, I assumed he had mistaken the table for empty. I looked up, ready to say something polite, maybe awkward. But before I could speak, he looked directly at me and said my name. Not loudly, not casually. He said it the way someone does when they already know you. My first thought was that I had misheard him. I actually looked around, expecting someone else to respond, but there was no one else. I asked him how he knew my name. He didn't answer right away. He studied my face, like he was checking something against a memory. Then he smiled, not warmly, not threateningly, just calmly. He said he didn't know me. He said he just noticed things. I laughed, because that's what you do when something feels uncomfortable, but not yet serious. I told myself it was a coincidence. Maybe he knew someone who looked like me. Maybe I had been there before and forgotten. Then he said something else, something specific, something he couldn't have guessed. It wasn't a secret, exactly, but it was personal. A small detail about my life that only a few people knew. Nothing dramatic, but intimate enough that hearing it from a stranger made my stomach tighten instantly. I didn't ask how he knew anymore. I asked why he was telling me. He leaned back slightly, resting his hands on the table, completely relaxed. That's what made it worse. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't rushed. He spoke like someone explaining something obvious. Most people think they're invisible, he said. They're not. He explained that people leave patterns everywhere, not online, not through technology, through habits, the places they go, the times they return, the routes they repeat, the way they sit, the way they look around. He said if you pay attention long enough, people start telling you who they are without realizing it. I felt a sudden urge to leave. Not panic, just distance. The instinct to remove myself from the situation before it became something I couldn't undo. But curiosity kept me there. I asked him if he did this often. He shrugged. He said he wasn't interested in people, only in consistency. He said patterns are honest. People lie. Patterns don't. That sentence stayed with me. He wasn't threatening me. He wasn't asking for anything. He didn't raise his voice or lean closer. That calmness was unsettling. Eventually, he stood up. Just stood up, like the conversation had reached its natural end. He wished me a good night and walked out. No dramatic exit. No final words. Just gone. I sat there for a while after he left, replaying everything in my head, trying to decide whether I had imagined the whole thing, whether I had misunderstood something harmless. Nothing bad happened afterward, no messages, no strange encounters, no feeling of being followed, but something had shifted. Since that night, I noticed things I didn't notice before, how predictable routines become, how often people return to the same places at the same times, how easily information exists without being spoken, I notice myself too. The habits I repeat, the places I return to, the comfort of familiarity. I don't think the stranger was dangerous. I think he was observant, and that might be worse, because it made me realize how visible we all are, even when we believe we're unnoticed. How much of ourselves we leave behind in ordinary moments. I've never seen him again. But sometimes, when I sit somewhere unfamiliar, I wonder who else is watching patterns instead of people. And I wonder how much of myself I've revealed without ever meaning to.